Hot. It's hot. The sound. Wait. People are complaining about the sound. Uh,
Okay, now you can hear me. Yes, I was saying hello, welcome back to Code with Italians. Today is hot, and I am jet
yes.
lagged. And also, just before we went live, the microphone was making Seb Dalek, so I had to
Yeah.
unplug and replug the sound card, which always fixes everything. But then that broke OBS apparently. Yay! Anyway, it's nice to be back. Yeah, I know you folks love Seb Dalek, but I couldn't hear it, so I was like, where's the fun? Only Ivan was hearing it.
Yeah, I was actually the first time that I was able to hear Dalek Seb, so it was like I felt for some minute I felt that I belonged, to the community, because I was never able to actually hear it. So anyway, how's everybody? How's everybody in the chat? Yes. So Sebastiano, welcome back from your world tour. Seb- like your
Yes,
tournée.
yes, exactly.
It's very hot. It's very hot here as well. You can see the dog. Can you see the dog?
The dog is living the dog life, clearly.
Yeah, it's actually so my floor carpet is also giving very nightmares to the codec, I guess. But
It's alright. It's kind of like
it's a
freaking out here and there. It looks like it's
yeah.
raining or something, but I don't know
I
how.
I don't know. So he's on the floor, so I had to move the webcam. So no big deal here. And yes, there are a lot of boxes in my home office because yeah, YOLO. Um, so Sebastiano,
Yes,
we had other plans for this episode,
yes, we
and
did.
we have been planning this for a long time, and then
Yes.
life happened.
Yeah,
So
not to us,
we
but one of our
yes,
guests
yes,
had a last minute problem, let's say. So
yeah.
we had to rearrange things around. Uh, but we actually had a good suggestion from our good friend Mark. That was saying, why don't you talk about stuff that Rebecca wrote about last week? And I was like, oh yeah, that's a good topic. But that was yesterday, so I was like, should we ask Rebecca? I was like, it's a bit too last minute, maybe, I don't know. And she couldn't anyway, so like, eh. But maybe in the future we'll have her back. Well, we will have her as a guest because I don't think she's ever been as a guest. But
No, not yet.
in today's episode of Seb's Friends, oh, thank you for the sub, Adam. Thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you. Oh,
Um,
well, now that you mention it, I can probably sub as well.
can I too? I don't know. I'll
Uh,
check later.
use
Um,
Prime. Yes, use Prime.
now I need to
Subscribe for
check.
free with Prime. Yeah, yes, yes. My subscription was successful. Yay.
Wow.
Uh, Thank you, Adam, for reminding me that I can subscribe to my own stream for free. Yeah, thank you also, Uncle Bezos, for the free subscription. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, you can subscribe for free. Support the channel for free if you have an Amazon Prime subscription. Basically, you can connect your Amazon Prime with your Amazon Gaming to your Twitch, and every month you can have a free subscription to a Twitch channel. So basically, you are supporting us for free while we are getting some.
I mean, us or someone else if they prefer
Oh
someone
yeah,
else.
yeah. I mean, if you want to support Adam, because it will be legit. Um, but just to as a reminder, the funds that we get from subscribers on Coffee and subscribers on Twitch go into the sticker bucket. So we are basically buying and shipping stickers to our subscribers that win the giveaway. And there is also like a news for today that we are gonna try later. We are building our own streaming helper platform, so we can move away from the service that we
1,500
use.
different things that we were using
Yes.
before.
So we realized after a few months that a few of the things that we do on every episode, they are incredibly repetitive, and is also a constellation of different services that we need to use to keep everything together. And a few weeks ago, I realized that, well, I have been doing this for like ever, web apps and things like that. So we started a new project that it was previously done as a desktop app because we wanted to learn Compose for desktop, and now we pivoted it on a web app. So we are moving away from a few services and we are building it in house. In the next few weeks, probably this is going to be one of the repositories that our Everything Pizza supporter can access, because that was also one of the ideas at the time. It won't be a Jetpack Compose project. It's going to be just a Node.js, React, whatever thingy. But the fun part is that, first of all, you can brag that Kotlin is awesome because the rest is shit. I mean, JavaScript is horrible. Sorry for hating, but I'm spoiled.
Can you
Um,
tell that Ivan has been doing a lot of JavaScript for this stuff?
oh man, that it's
Well,
impossible.
TypeScript, it's better. Come on.
The TypeScript is better, but you need to find the right libraries, and if you don't know the libraries, it's like, okay, but how do I sort a list? And you're like, how do I filter a list? And you're like, but this is basic stuff. The interesting part though is that we are building this with React.js, and the similarities with Compose are uncanny. I think that Compose is similar to React because React probably
It's
started
almost as if the same people worked on both.
Wink, wink. No, but the idea that the declarative UI, it's incredibly fast for me to jump on the idea of React. The state, hoisting the state, and the parameters go in. So it was very like easy learning curve coming from Compose, and I guess it's gonna be the same if you're doing Flutter or
Yep.
Swift UI or whatever.
Yep.
So that was a nice surprise. Still, I'm very, 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 very sad that I cannot use Kotlin for this. But yeah, life is it's adventurous. Hello everybody in the chat. Just as a reminder, keep an eye on the chat. We're gonna give stickers away later today. We also have the DroidCon ticket. We have a winner. Congratulations, Marco. We are gonna reach out to you on YouTube. Yeah, nice. And yeah, for in the future, probably we will have tickets. I mean, fingers crossed, tickets for DroidCon Italy. We are gonna be there for sure. I mean, it's just 1 hour drive from here, so it would be like
For you.
well, I mean, yes, but it's gonna be just embarrassing if I'm not there.
Yeah.
So
Especially
so
considering
that's
that I am going to be there for sure. So we'll be like,
yeah.
where's Ivan? Ivan, I'm fucking coming pick you up. I don't know.
Everybody's gonna be looking for the dog if I go to Turin. You know that, right? So yes. And
Now
that's
we're
it. So I
friends.
think from a warm up public service announcement, we are good to go. And Sebastiano, show me the
I think there's one
interpolators.
last service announcement
Oh
that
yeah.
I said when I was muted. But yes, I came back from the US the other day. I am very jet lagged. So if shit breaks, surprise, I
um,
guess.
um,
So I wanted to start by putting a link in the chat. So you folks might or might have not seen, but I hope you have, Rebecca's post. She published it on the 10th, so last week. It's very interesting because it explains how easing works in Compose, what's easing, and so on. And I think it does a really good job of explaining the basics of the stuff. But because some people don't still understand how that works,
mhm. Wink, wink, even.
and because I'm jet lag, I don't want to code too much because I don't think I can code that much. I thought, what if we played around with easing the way I learned how easing works, which is using After Effects. So the nice thing about it is that it's a very visual thing. Like it explains, like you can see in action how these things work. And the other side benefit is that it's not going to be constantly broken code because I'm terrible at it. But then again, I still want to start by just skimming through the blog post from Rebecca. So I'm just going to share the screen. And the point is, we need to start probably from a bit further back, which is, so when you do animations, oh yeah, when you do animations, by, let's say, default, although it's not the case in Compose, but by default, if you move something from one position to another position, the basic thing you would do is to linearly move things. So it linearly is referred to the velocity. So if you're starting from position A and moving to position B, what happens is the basic interpolation is just saying, okay, just gradually move over time. Say I have, I don't know, 100 milliseconds. Move by this much in this amount of time at a constant speed, or velocity, as you call it when you're talking about animation. Now, that's fairly easy to do because then you only need to know what's the starting point, what's the end point, and how much time has elapsed. And then the position is just going to be the linear interpolation, and that's why it's called linear. Like in mathematical terms, it's going to be the linear interpolation of the distance between the two, weighted by how much time has passed. Now, that works, but it's also kind of looking like shit because nothing in real world is has a linear animation. And the reason for that is that in reality, in the physical world, there is inertia. And inertia means that when you move something, it starts slowly and then accelerates and then slows down again to come to a rest, to come to a stop. Now, yes, as Mark is pointing out, but we'll get there, easing curves and interpolators are the same thing. What is important to understand is that because when you're trying to create a user interface, you're trying to make something that looks natural. What you tend to do is not to use linear interpolation, but rather to use some different kind of interpolation, or some different kind of easing, as it's known as well. Now, this takes a variety of different looks, and it can feel very different. But just to give you an idea, okay, let's open After Effects. I think it's time to start a new project. We'll create a composition. Obviously, everything opens on the wrong screen. We'll call it Culo because why not?
About that, I don't see your screen share.
Oh, sorry, Ivan, I need to.
It's probably.
Yeah, no, it's just on Skype.
I'm
I'll
seeing
fix it.
I don't know. Probably I'm seeing the ring bell
There you
video,
go.
but
Now,
I don't know how many stuff you have sharing. But
now you
okay,
see
now I
it.
see it. Yes, thank you.
So well, 4K is maybe a bit too much. Let's
So first
do
of all, what's After
1080.
Effects?
What is After? Come on, everyone know. No, okay, fair enough. So
I have no
After
idea. I
Effects
mean,
is one of the most famous software packages that you can use to create motion graphics, video compositing, that sort of stuff. So in very simple and inaccurate terms, you can think of it as Figma, but for motion. Now, Figma, we use for prototyping user interfaces, but it's mostly about static stuff. You can create prototypes by linking screens together, for example. And I've created, oh yes, you've seen that. I might have gone slightly overboard over the weekend. I've decided that I was going to learn how to use Figma properly, thanks to the lessons from our friend Chris, and I'm very satisfied with the result.
yeah, it was very nice.
At some point, I'll share it publicly because that might be like the after bundle, the next app that we create live, because I think there's a lot of potential there. So After Effects is software from Adobe, which you might know as the creators of Flash Player, of PDF.
Wow, Flash Player of all the products.
Yeah, I mean the real ones, not the virus that pretends to be Flash Player, which is also a big, used to be a big category as well.
I was waiting for Photoshop, Premiere. No.
And
You
they
went
invented
Flash.
David Bowie, I think. I don't know.
I don't know.
Wait, we're talking about Adobe, and
Adobe?
someone called Illustrator shows up. Coincidence?
Bam, bam, bam.
Hello.
Hello. And
Oh, I've been here. So I think it's under
So what-
creativity. Just wanted
so
to.
what do we do with After Effects? I mean, is the one that you use for Lottie?
Yes. So you can
Okay.
create Lottie animations by using After Effects, and there's a plugin. I think it used to be called Body Moving, and now it's called Lottie, probably. I don't know. Maybe it's still called Body Moving. I'm not sure. But yeah, the idea is, why is After Effects nowhere? This is bad.
They discontinued the software.
Yeah, it doesn't exist anymore. The fact that I'm running it is just a coincidence.
Yeah, because you don't have internet, so they cannot plug it off.
Right. They just deleted it for everyone. No, finding stuff on the Adobe website sometimes is complicated.
Oh, here you go. No, there was. Yeah, here you go.
So yeah,
After
you can do magic video stuff with After Effects, I guess, if you're really good. I'm not very good. Illustrator, today we are talking about easing and interpolation of animations. We are referring to Rebecca's blog post, but I'm also going to be showing how things work in After Effects, because it's a bit of a different thing. There's the code side is covered very well in Rebecca's blog post, and I don't think it's worth repeating it as much, but showing how things work in a different way, I think is more interesting. But yeah, you can do stuff with After Effects, moving things and whatever. So the idea is, if you pay enough money to Adobe, or if you don't pay any money to Adobe, you can get After Effects, and it's a very cool software. It's very nice and intuitive, and in some ways, you will recognize this, the bottom part, which is the timeline. It kind of looks like the animation inspector in, the transition inspector in Android Studio. And that is not a coincidence, because in animation and in video editing in general, the concept of a timeline is very important. So, for example, You can see here I have my composition. So a composition is, think of it as a scene essentially in After Effects. And then I can put stuff in the timeline. It will be like a stack. And you think of it as the same way as like a frame layout would work, for example. So the stuff that is at the top is displayed on front of the stuff that is underneath. And then here is the time. So this composition lasts, what, 1 second, 21 milliseconds. Sorry, 21 frames. No, 21 milliseconds? 21 frames, I don't remember. 25. Okay. So in because I'm in Europe, our video works at 25 frames per second, or 20 or 50 fields per second, if you're very old school. And in After Effects, like every video software thing there is out there, you have a timestamp here, which is hours, minutes, seconds, and frames. So frames, in this case, we have 25 frames per second. So you can see like it goes 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, and then the 25th frame is the next second. So just to give you a basic idea of this. Is this turning into an After Effects tutorial? I feel it might be. I don't know. I'm really excited about After Effects.
I'm gonna market this as an After Effects workshop.
So you can put markers when I start going completely off topic.
No, I mean it's okay. Don't worry. We are gonna throw this on Udacity, and
Yeah.
we're gonna make money out of it. Yeah, sure.
So
Keep going.
What we are going to do is we're going to create a solid, which is just an object of a solid color, and it's going to be a 200 by 200 square, and it's here. Okay, so now
Out of curiosity, because I missed that part. Do they have a trial for people to?
There
give
is
it
a
shot?
trial. There is a trial. I think it's 7 days. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Pro tip: Adobe charges a lot of money for this shit. So what you want to do is you want to find a moment where when they have a sale and they put it like 40 or 50% off for the first year. At the end of the first year, they'll be like, oh, from next month, you're not paying 20 something euros a month, you're paying 60 euros a month, which is like, fuck no. So what you do is you go and you start canceling your subscription. And when they ask you why, you say it's too expensive. And then they say, what if we gave you 50% discount? And you're like, yes, thanks. And then you do it every year. So you can have it half price. Yeah, I know. Life hacks, really.
Yeah.
But that's how I've been paying half price for Creative Cloud for a few years now. It's just...
Well,
clearly Adobe can afford it. So I don't feel guilty about mentioning this.
fair enough. They're gonna sue us so badly. So it has been a pleasure, everybody. Ciao. This is the last episode.
Now, okay. As Maya said, everything starts with a box. Yes, exactly. So this is our frame. In this case, 1920 by 1080. Hey, hi, Zach. Thank you for the sub. This became a stream about After Effects. I'm so happy about this. So the square will have a position. I'm sorry that the font is small, but I really cannot zoom in, I think. Can I? Because that would be good. Let me do.
Do they have a presentation mode?
No, they
After
don't.
Effects?
That's the annoying thing. So display, no, general. No, I don't think I can. I can change
there has
appearance.
to be a font.
No.
Right.
This, dude, you're spoiled.
No,
You're fucking spoiled.
I'm used to IntelliJ.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying you're very, very spoiled.
By the way,
there's no such thing.
By the way, as a life hack, I also pulled some strings and I got a discount for my IntelliJ idea. as
How did that
well.
work?
It works that I just annoy you every year, and
Fair
you make
enough.
it happen.
Hey, hi Felipe. This is a tutorial about how to make After Effects do presentation. Maya, I swear, if I could do presentation in After Effects, I would. Next closest thing is doing Keynote. At some point, I'll do, I think, a series of streams about how to do presentation in Keynote. And that's, yeah, very, very much first world problem, Mark. Okay, so we have a position. Position is in pixels. It's right now is 192 by 174, and I'm just gonna put 192, 192 for ease. Now you can see that our box is not moving. Like I can start playback. You can see the time is going forward. It's not doing anything. It's not moving, which is not particularly useful on our topic of making stuff move. But what I can do is I can click the time vary stopwatch, or as I call it, the animate thingy. So if you do that, it will set a keyframe, which is same thing you would have in motion layout. So a keyframe is a known point in time where you know the values, you set some values, and then After Effects will do the interpolation for you. So we say we want to go down here, for example. So what I can do is I can go to the end and I can say it's, what was it? 1920 minus 192. So it puts me at the end. Oh yeah, I can do maths in the field. It's very convenient. I wish Keynote did that. It does not do that. It's very useful. So I can do 1080 minus 190. Okay, and now I'm at the opposite corner. No, I mean, I think I know how to use it, even if I'm jet lagged. And now you can see that our animation is
Ooh, the
moving.
fanciness starts.
You see. But the problem you will notice is that this is not very like nice, because if you only look at it once, it's just like it moves in a very stiff way. So if I, for example, put some more margin around so that the animation will be shorter, because now it starts at frame 6 and ends at frame 12. Yeah. You see, like it looks very robotic. It's not very natural.
Because it's linear.
Because
right?
it's linear, because it doesn't
Okay.
accelerate and it doesn't decelerate. And here, when you're looking at this, you can think about the material guidelines always tell you to use easing and ease is in and ease is out. Complicated, but I'll explain it a bit better in a second. What we want to do is we want to make sure that the movement is interpolated over time, which is very different to interpolating over space. So interpolating over space means what's the trajectory that it will take to get there. So is it a straight line, or is it a curve like this, where it's still a linear motion in time, but in space it's doing kind of an S sort of shape.
It's even weirder now.
Yeah, obviously.
Because you have the bump, but it
Yeah.
doesn't.
It's
I mean,
very
it looks
weird.
like a slope, but it's even linear, so it's even weirder.
One thing you can do is let's separate dimensions because it will be a bit easier. But you can graph things. And
What's this?
So
X and Y.
Yeah, this is the X value, and this is the Y value, and it looks like it's interpolated already, which is weird because it shouldn't be, but I might have fucked up something. No, it's okay. Keyframe interpolation. No, okay, it defaults to that because I opened this. Yes. So I'm gonna just reset those to, if I could click right, that would be nicer. Keyframe interpolation, I'll put them back to linear. Okay, so linear, now you can see it's fairly understandable. What it's doing, it's just linearly interpolating the X and the Y. Obviously, the frame is shorter than it is wide, so that it moves less in absolute terms over Y, because there's less way to go down than there is to go sideways. But yeah, you can see if I stop at a random frame, it will be exactly just going on a straight line over time, and I'm stopping here. Now, what I want to do to make this look nicer is I can add some kind of interpolation, and I've kind of spoiled it a bit earlier, but what you can do is you can say, oh, I have this keyframe and I want to actually interpolate things. Done. So After Effects provides a bunch of interpolation techniques. Linear is the base one, which you can see. Then there is Bezier, continuous Bezier, auto Bezier, and hold. Now, in terms of compose, what you will be dealing with is mostly Bezier. Continuous Bezier and auto Bezier are kind of like After Effects trying to make things easier for you. But in our case, we can just go with Bezier. And now you can see that I have some handles, and I can curve the advancement over time. So remember, this is not this is actually a space representation, to be honest. But because I'm only changing one coordinate and not both of them, it's only changing the Y. So it's moving linearly over X, but it's going to be interpolated over Y. And it's going to look very weird, because it just gets very quickly down and then kind of slopes into position. But if I undo that, just go back to linear, what I can do is I can do an easy ease in and an easy ease in on this side as well. And now, because I've eased both dimensions, you can see that it kind of decelerates when it gets to the end. Is that clear? Can you see it? Should I make it slower?
Make it slower.
Okay. So I need to change this to, let's say, 5 seconds. And I'm going to move those to the end. I'm just going to extend this, move this to the end, and okay. So now the motion should be a bit more obvious. Maybe it's even too slow now.
But you get the idea that it's
yeah. So let's
breaking.
try like this. You see it slowing down at the end, right?
Yeah.
And I can make it more pronounced if I want. I can take this handles and bring them forward, which means it's gonna slow down sooner. It's very apparent now. You can see very clearly. It starts linearly. It starts at just full-on speed and then slows down. And I can do the same thing with the starting point. So I can do easy ease in, means that you need to think of in and out in terms of getting into a state or getting out of a state. So in this case, at the end, we used easy ease in because we were getting to the end. But here we are getting from the start. So what we do is easy ease out because we're leaving. We want to have fence interpolation leaving the starting state. So now you will see that it starts, goes slowly, then it goes faster, and then it slows down again. And what we have done is a very, very basic form of interpolation. Now, this is not exactly what you would get with material, because the default, I think, in Compose is to use the spring animation, which is a physically based start fast and then slow down when you get closer to the end. This is, Mark is saying this is a cubic Bezier curve. Yes, I think it's time to explain what Bezier curves are, though, because otherwise this is just like a curve, and it's like it's a curve, and there's some things you can drag, and it makes a difference. But why does it work this way? Why dragging this stuff makes a difference to those curves, and how is this curve actually calculated? Well, that's a fascinating topic. I strongly recommend this video. It's fucking amazing. It's really nice. And the person that made this is brilliant. They have done some really cool animations on the topic, on various mathematical topics. And I find this video super entertainment. You see, there's so many nice things happening all the time. And yeah, these things you're seeing now are Bezier curves. So every time there's one dot and the next one, it's creating a new Bezier curve, a new cubic Bezier curve, which is the one you're most likely going to be using. And like, you don't need to look at the video too carefully now, but it's, as I said, it's very entertaining. I strongly recommend it. But to explain it in a bit easier way, we can also look at the primer. The primer is a lot of stuff. This explains Bezier curves in a lot of detail. So essentially, a Bezier curve is a curve that is created by interpolating between a number of points, and the number of points gives you the degree of the curve. So for example, a quadratic Bezier curve has 3 points, and this curve here is the result of using 1, 2, and 3 points. And I can drag them around, and you can see that the curve updates. The idea is that it changes the tangent of the curve, starting at this tangent and ending at this tangent, and gradually, smoothly moves over. If you have 4 points, then you have a cubic Bezier curve, which is what Mark was mentioning earlier. And again, here you can change the position of the points, and that will make for all sorts of different Bezier curves of all different sizes and shapes. So to have something like what we were having, we actually had the starting point was down here, the ending point was up here, let's say, for example, and then you have the starting point with the eases out, you would have the control point here, and then the end, you would have the control point here. What you don't see in After Effects is this middle line here, but it's the same thing, right? Where you have the start point, the end point, and then you have the control point here and the other control point here, and by dragging one or the other, you change the shape of the curve. And it's the same thing here. By dragging this, I can change the shape of the curve, and this curve is telling After Effects, or in the case of Compose, it's telling Compose how to get from one state to the next state. And this is what we call an easing curve, or an interpolator. If you have done animations in the old view system, those were called interpolators, and it's the same idea here. The concept behind an interpolator is very simple. It's a function that tells you how to, over time, move from one state to the next. You can have many different values in Bezier curves. For example, you can do like linear interpolation, and you can see how the Bezier curve is calculated by taking a point that moves between the two lines. So let me see if there's a simpler example. I think it's just going to be more complicated as we go on, but I like the interactive things. Okay, no, let's go back to this one. It's fine. So you can see that the curve that we create is the final Bezier curve can be created by just drawing straight lines and created this sort of shape thingy, which ends up being the curve that we had from the beginning. I remember when I was in like middle school, elementary school, something, I would have my notebooks had like the squares instead of the lines. And with the squares, I would sometimes, when I was very bored, do essentially this stuff where you start, you take like two lines and you start taking one point on this line and the corresponding point on the other side, and just take a line, then you move a bit towards the center and then a bit towards the top. And that's essentially how Bezier curves work. So it's nice to see when you get to take a look at this curve here, okay? This one, the blue one. So when it starts, it's a bit more difficult to see. But the idea is that by tracing, that by taking a point on this curve and a point on this curve, and over time you move linearly from this point to this point and from this point to this point, the line that you see, so you take a look at the blue line, right? The blue line is moving from the red and the green to the green and the blue. And as it does it, we also take a point that moves on that line, and that point there will create a Bezier curve, which you can see on the right-hand side where the ratio labels are. So all those points are the points that we are drawing with all these lines. Now, I think there was a single example here. Yes, this one. So what I was explaining is essentially this. So you have P0, P1, and P1, P2. You take a point that moves from P0 to P1 and a point that moves from P1 to P2 linearly. So it's just, you're just moving linearly on a straight line. And you draw a line between those 2 points. And on that line, you interpolate over time from 0 to the end. And that way you create a very smooth curve, which is in this case, a quadratic Bezier curve, because it's only 3 points. If it were 4 points, then, oh, I just noticed that Rebecca is also linking the same materials. Yes, these two are by far the best resources on the topic, and they're really nice. So why do we use Bezier curves? We use Bezier curves because they are fairly simple for a computer. So it's a way to mathematically describe a curve that is, first of all, is compact, because like a quadratic Bezier curve is described by 3 points, 1, 2, and 3. And you only need x and y for those 3 points. And then everything else can be computed at runtime. Yes, cubic and quadratic refer to the number of, don't refer to the number of points, which is not what I said. I said that cubics have 3 points, and sorry, cubics have 4 points and quadratics have 3 points. I'm not saying that that's the relationship. That's that was what I was trying to get to, is that the underlying equations are simple mathematical equations, where by just having 3 points, 1, 2, and 3, you can describe this curve by just solving that quadratic equation. Obviously, the more points you have in your Bezier curve, the more terms the mathematical expression gets, and thus it gets more complicated and more expensive to compute. But the nice thing about Bezier curves is that you can just attach a number of Bezier curves one after the other, and which is kind of what you can also do in any drawing software. So even in After Effects, if you want to, if you take the pen, you can create like a line by just concatenating. I'm gonna put some stroke there because there's no stroke and it's kind of hard to see. No, that's character. Fuck, I don't remember how to do that. Oops. Do I need a shape layer? Yeah, I need a shape layer. Shape layer, okay. So on a shape layer, yeah, it's more visible now. So I'm creating a shape by just concatenating simple cubic Bezier curves. So every segment here is a cubic Bezier curve because I have 1 point of start, 1 point of end, and 2 control points. So you can combine a number of arbitrary curves together, and then you can create arbitrarily complex shapes. And that's one very nice property of Bezier curves, is that because you can combine multiple simple curves, that's going to be cheap for the computer, for the software to understand where the curve actually is, because it just can do the very quickly what we have shown with this example here. Now, when you're doing, in our case, we're looking at something like this in After Effects. So we have an easing curve. They tend to be, most of the time, cubic Bezier curves. I mean, they're always at least cubic. They cannot be quadratic because you always have a start and an end, and each one has a control point. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4 points. 4 points means you have to use a cubic equation, and thus you create a cubic Bezier curve. But the nice thing is that then what you can do is you can just say, oh, I'm just going to move my my square in this case by using these curves. So it's not a straight line anymore, as we saw in After Effects, but it's a curve. And that curve looks much more natural because it obeys, well, it doesn't obey momentum. We're not actually like, to calculate proper movement using momentum, you would have to know the weight of this shape, which obviously it doesn't have a weight because it's two-dimensional. But what you're doing is you're emulating what it would look like if it were a physical object. And that's great because it helps people understand what's happening better. But you don't have to only use one curve. An example here is the bouncing effect. So this is one curve, this is another curve, this is another curve, and this is another curve. You can use this website, which I didn't know before. It's very nice. But I thought it's essentially the same thing we were doing in After Effects. Now this is a cubic Bezier. I don't know if you can change the to have more than a cubic one. I don't think you can, but you have like linear. You can compare like linear movement with cubic, and you can have easing, ease in, ease out, blah blah blah. So this website is also useful to play around. It's mathematically possible to create a perfect circle using cubic Bezier curves, but we can get a close approximation that's good enough to convince the human eye, which is what most of us are equipped with. Yes, I don't think anyone has the Neuralink, Elon Musk, whatever thingy yet. So yes, the point with Bezier curves is that they are good enough for describing pretty much any kind of shape or movement. Now, I'm talking interchangeably about shapes and about curves because after all, the problem we're trying to solve is always the same. We're trying to solve the problem of how do we represent a curved line in a way that a computer understands and can handle. And Bezier curves are the standard solution for that. And they're used not just for animation, but they're used for design, like industrial design and so on. They've been invented like a long time ago. And they were invented because they were very simple to use. I think they were invented before their actual computer implementation came to exist. But they're super powerful, and you can do a lot of things with Bezier curves. For example, you can interpolate a Bezier curve, just have one of it, and it's gonna be like a quadratic is gonna be a parable. So if you have 3 points, you can create sort of a parable. If you have a cubic one, you can create looping stuff. I don't think this has a proper name, but by just continuing on the curve that it would have, you can go on. In computer graphics, you don't really use this. You only use the bit in the middle of the 2 points, but it's just, yeah, you can do stuff with curves. And yeah, this is here you can see for a cubic curve that as opposed to the quadratic where you have 2 lines and you interpolate on over the 2 lines, here you have 3 lines and you do the same thing. So a Bezier curve essentially interpolates over this line, and over this line, and that gives you 2 lines. And then what you do is you interpolate over those 2 lines, and you have another line, and then you interpolate over that line. So the idea with Bezier curves is you start with a number of points. Those points are joined by a number of lines, depending on the complexity of the Bezier curve, and then you always it's sort of like trying to go back to the base case of having a single point. So you have 4 lines, you go to 3 lines, you go to 2 lines, you go to 1 line, and then you go to a point. So you're reducing complexity. And this nature of the Bezier curve makes it super interesting. You can also do it by successive, how do you say it in English? Approximations, yes. So you can approximate by adding the number of lines or of segments to approximate a Bezier curve. And there's a lot of things that you can do. You can also split a curve by using Bezier lines. I'm not going to go Bezier curves. I'm not going to go over this because it's a lot of stuff. It's a lot of math. And I think it's going to be very confusing if I get too much into this. But what I wanted to convey is that Bezier lines, Bezier curves are super, super powerful, and you're going to be using them a lot when you do animation. There's another website that I found out through Rebecca's blog post, which is very interesting. It's just displaying how easing works in, I think these are the standard ones you can use in CSS. So you have like is out sign, is in out sign, is in quad, is in cubic, is in quart. So you can see that this is using a sine wave to do the interpolation. This is using a quadratic equation. This is using a cubic equation. This is using, I don't even remember how the fuck they're called, quart, I guess, and that's it. Quint, and then there's exponential, because you don't necessarily have to have Bezier curves. So an interpolator, once you get to code, can be literally anything. And it can be exponential, it can use circular interpolation, it can have overshoot. So when you have a curve and you have overshoot, well, overshoot, I think is clearer here. So overshoot is when you go below 0 and above 1. So when your value exceeds 0 and 1, because you might have something that bounces, for example, like in this case here, it's an elastic, so it just bounces around the point, not just on one side of the point, but also goes beyond it. And then you can have bounce like a ball would do. So there's a lot of them, and you can implement arbitrary ones when it gets to code. The nice thing about this website is that it also gives you the mathematical function that you can use. It's in JavaScript, but it's fairly easy to understand and easy to translate to Kotlin, for example.
I think it's actually TypeScript.
Yes, it's TypeScript. I mean, yes.
Types.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
you know,
It says number,
and I was like, yeah, at least some type.
Some joys.
Oh,
I'll show you something interesting. Did you know that After Effects allows you to write interpolation logic using JavaScript? Not TypeScript, JavaScript. So what you can do, for example, I'm gonna hide that weird shape. So one thing we can do is we can delete the keyframes that we had because those sucked. We can create a new one and then we will, nope, that's not what I meant to do. We can create a new one here and then another one here. So we have 2 keyframes and I can just at this point, whoops, I don't know what I'm doing. I can just move this here. Hey. Nope. Okay. So we have our linear interpolation, usual stuff. So what you can do is instead of creating a linear interpolation, you can check what's animated, and instead of using these keyframes here, what you can do is you can create, can I unseparate it? Yes, okay. And you can create a JavaScript expression. Now, that's very cool because you can use the whipper thingy, you can pick up properties of other layers in the composition. And it's not super intuitive and it's not very well documented, but you have a bunch of things that you can do. And for example, you can do noise. So here would be I want to pick the position. So this is probably fucked. Expression and result. Oh, they show errors in line now. That's fancy. They didn't used to until recently. Hey, hi Rebecca. We're in the weeds in After Effects now. It's your fault. Thank you. Give me an excuse. So what you can do is, for example, you can say, you can look at the errors like expression result must be dimension 2, not 1. So what you want to do is, I don't remember if this is 0, 0, but I can create an array and do the same thing. So noise of autocomplete. This is new. Ooh, nice. I haven't used After Effects in a while. Position. Oh, there's X position and Y position. That's better. Easier to understand. Yes, I should use Y in the second one. Obviously, this is not an ID, but the fact that they've started showing some errors is already great progress compared to what it used to be. What do you fucking want now? Undefined value use an expression. What? I'm confusion. I'm very confused now. So this one, position is an array. This should be fine. Why doesn't it work? Well, I'll use something else. It's fine. I'm gonna do wiggle. Wiggle, 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 wiggle. I don't remember the properties, so I'm just gonna YOLO it.
Oh no.
Is that
Sebastiano broke it.
Is that doing something? Not really. I need to check what the... Oh yeah, by the way, you have interpolation functions in JavaScript as well, which is cool. You have maths, you have a bunch of things. Where the shit is wiggle? I never remember. Oh, there it is. Okay, this is much more useful. Frequency is, let's say, once per second. Amplitude, let's say 200, octaves 1, amplitude multiplier. Okay. So now, yeah, this is an interpolator that, yeah, invalidate cache and restart. It doesn't work with After Effects, it just crashes. So yeah, wiggle is essentially just adding pseudo random noise to a property. In this case, I'm just saying your position is determined by this expression. And why am I showing you this? Because this is essentially the same thing that you would do in in Compose. So when you write an interpolator, you're writing some code that generates a value that changes over time, or maybe that doesn't change over time, because you can also have the code. No, not what I meant to do. I meant to do this. You can also change the code to something that never changes, and now it's obviously not moving anymore because it's just this. But it's cool because what you can do then is you can say, oh, I want to get this. And so I'll do X. And I will also do Y. And now I can return something. And now, okay. So let's say I want to interpolate between X and Y. Let's actually, this is not particularly useful. Let's say we start at 192 and 192 as we used to before. And then we want to, destination X is going to be 1000. And destination Y is going to be, I don't know, 400, something like that. Maybe 600. Okay, so what I can do is I can interpolate from the initial to the destination. And the way I would do it is I have interpolation, there's linear, and that does the interpolation for me. So T is a global variable that After Effects defined that is mapping your time. So for now, I'm just going to leave it as it is. Obviously, I clicked out, that was broken. The interpolation here will be between X and destination X. And I have exactly the same thing here between Y and destination Y. Syntax error. Undefined values and expression. Have I fucked up something? I have not.
It's the same error that you get
Undefined
before.
value is an expression. Could be an out of range array subscript. Could it be?
Google.
Yeah, that might be the solution. But I don't want to waste too much time on this. The point is I just wanted to show that you can animate things linearly in code, and then you can change to is in, for example, and is in, and then you can run the code. Obviously, it's still broken for the same reason. I am not sure why, but whatever, it doesn't matter. So you can imagine that you would have this code in Compose as well. Obviously, you would have to write the isin function because, I mean, depending on what your easing logic is. But as we were seeing, we can use any of these functions here. So most of the cases, you're going to be using one of these ones. You're not going to be creating an entirely custom easing because that would be a lot of work. It doesn't make any sense. And you probably don't need it either. Plus, your designers are most likely using some web-based animation tool. So they will have these curves and they will most likely be happy with those. There is, as Rebecca was showing in the blog post, you can either create something custom, or you can also use the built-in easing functions. For example, here in Crane, which is one of the Compose sample apps, you can see that this is the linear easing, which is essentially no easing. It's very stiff and robotic. But if you use the ease out quart, then it's going to start quickly because it's linear at the start. And then it slows down with a quart is 4th degree interpolation. So it starts quickly and then it slows down a lot towards the end. And I think this is like just the core of the topic. Now, there's a lot more stuff that you can consider. For example, as I was mentioning earlier, there's the Spring, which is the default interpolator, but you can pass ease out bounds. There's really a bunch of those, and I think the documentation lists them. I don't remember if it has. Yeah, there are some animations. That's nice. So, for example, for Spring, you can see this is like damping ratio high bouncy, damping ratio medium bouncy. So, depending on the physical property of the spring that you're emulating, then you can get different results. You can have something that is not bouncy at all. You can have something that just has a damping ratio, and you have different behaviors. You can also specify keyframes. As I was saying, as with shapes, you can chain several Bezier curves to obtain the curve you want. With interpolators, you can do the same. So for example, you can create, and I'm just gonna uncreate, like delete this expression. I never remember how to do it, but it's fine. So you can create something that interpolates in a way that it's stuck at some point, some value for some point, and then it will just go up. Thank you for the link, Rebecca. I am actually going to look at it now. And let's see the ease page. Okay, so this is the same graph that there was in the blog post, which is very useful. Oh, by the way, did you know that in most cases, if you're animating alpha, if you do it linearly or if you do it with a curve, if it's a quick animation, nobody will ever tell the difference because they look pretty much the same. It will make a big difference in like spatial transformation, but not when it comes to alpha. Oh, nice. There's all the examples here. So yeah, you can have a very good idea what the various curves do. And I think they're essentially these ones. I don't know if it's all of them, but definitely a lot of them. Bounce, circ, cubic, elastic, expo, quad, quart, quint, sine. Yeah, it's all of them. Nice. So you don't even have to implement these yourselves. You have a lot to choose from, which is very cool. And yeah, you can see some overshoot. You can see it here, for example, where it goes beyond the endpoint, or it rotates more and then kind of rotates back. It's a bit more difficult to see with colors and with alpha because those are clamped to the start and end values. You don't like it. Overshoot doesn't exist with alpha and with color. So just FYI, because it doesn't, like an alpha of 1.2 doesn't make sense. An alpha is either between 0 and 1 or it isn't a thing.
It's super transparent.
Well, 1.2 would be super opaque, actually. I think it starts going towards the black hole spectrum.
It's like the blackest black, you know, the
Vanta black. The Vanta black. Yeah, kind of that. But yeah, so I've been talking for mostly an hour now, and I think you folks probably have questions. I don't know. If there's any question about this, now would be a good time to ask them. Otherwise, I think we can start wrapping up. Ivan, do you have any questions?
I have a question because I'm not big animation and this kind of stuff. So during my career, I never worked on a team where these things were a priority.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm even struggling to find use cases for this in my my apps, because I don't even have the you know the vision for this. But how would you use something like this in Bundle, for instance? Do you have a like
Bundle.
a over the head use case for something that? So we don't have much moving parts, but we have images, we have text and things like that.
We do. I'm just looking up if we have any interpolation in the code. Actually, let me share the screen again.
If you
I
have any question in the chat, please shoot. I'm just trying to give you time for.
I don't think we have anything specific because we mostly have fades. Oh wait, there's one place where we have some nice interpolation, which is what's it called? Apps list screen. Yes. So if you remember, this is the screen where you select the apps to exclude, and these do animate. So I can do animation preview. I think this should work. Yeah. So there's just let me increase this and zoom in a bit so you can see a bit more. Okay, so there's a bunch of things that are animating over time. Okay.
Oh yeah, now I remember. Okay.
So as you can see, they don't all start at the same time. It's a set of animations that happen. Some start at the same time, some start later, and you can see that the curves that we see are they look like cubic. They look like cubic Bezier. So I am trying to remember exactly where I set this up. App toggle item. I think it was in here.
Animation. I saw an animation constant at the bottom. So
yeah. So there is. Whoopsie. There is app toggle item. Okay. So what we have here is we have a transition, which is just like this set of things. Which we create, we animate the alpha of the row, because you will notice that when something is not excluded, it's full alpha, but then as it gets excluded, it's faded out. So we are animating that by saying excluded transition dot animate float, and we have the row alpha. Row alpha, you can see it here, is this curve that we're going through here. So you will see that it's one of the first animations to complete. The first actual animation to complete is this one that is making the row taller. At the same time, we are making it less opaque, and we're also animating the stride through.
Yeah.
And then once the line height is complete, we fade in the excluded thing. Now you will notice that none of these animations are linear. None of those are interpolated linearly. So when you're asking where you would use this stuff that we talked about, everywhere. The answer is everywhere, because you never want to use linear interpolation. The nice thing is that by using the Spring interpolator by default, Compose will pick stuff that will probably work fine in many scenarios. You don't necessarily have to go and change anything to make it work for you, because it will do some stuff by itself, and that's very, very convenient. Now, in the I think here the stride through progress. Yeah, I don't think we are specifying how to animate it, but we can change that. So when you do animate float, it takes a label and it takes a transition spec. Now the transition spec is the thing that we are looking at, that we want to implement. And then the last thing is you provide the target value by state. So essentially telling it if the state is this, then the value you're going for is that. What we can do, and I'm just gonna reference Rebecca's post because it's easier. You can take the animation spec. In this case, it's an animation spec, not a transition spec, but it's not too complicated. What we want to do is we want to use a tween with a certain duration and a certain easing or interpolation. So here, for example, you would have the transition spec, which is a lambda, if I recall correctly. Yes, it's a lambda that has a receiver of transition.segment. And I don't remember how it works. I do not remember. But as usual, in Compose, what you do is you go and see where it's used elsewhere and copy. So, for example, is this a good one? Yes. Okay, so the transition spec is going to be something like this, for example. Okay. So enter exit state. Yeah, that's the type. Okay, the type we have here is different because the type we have for our transition spec is S, but specifically it's an app filter state. Okay, so what you do is you build a map of if I'm going from this state to that state, then do this. Okay, so we start from excluded and we go to included. And then what do we do in that case? Well, here I think there is no other case, so what we can do is error. And then we also need to create the opposite transition from excluded to included, from included to excluded, sorry. So now we have defined the animation going one way, but we also want to define the animation going the other way. So what do? What we do here is we do a tween. We say the duration is, I don't know, 500 milliseconds, for example. The delay is 0 by default, it's fine. And you can see that by default, there's a fast out, slow in easing, which works fairly well for us. But maybe we want to use a different one. So we can do fast out, linear in, easing. So fast out, linear in, easing, what do you expect will do? It will be very fast leaving, and then it will end up linearly towards the end of the end state. Now, what is it complaining about? Is this a function? No. What do you want? Required int. No, this is easing. Okay. And we can do the same thing on the way back. So if we're going from excluded to included, so if we are essentially removing this, what we do is we are going very fast. Maybe what we want to do when we are adding it, we want to do slow instead. So you can do linear out, slow in, easing, for example, which would be very different from the other one. Now, I think this should work. What are you complaining about? Content padding parameter?
Yeah, I get this all the time and I suppress it all the time. I don't understand the
no
warning.
clue what this is, but
yeah, I don't understand the warning either.
Okay, so now that the code is not red anymore, then we can see how things have changed. And you should see a difference in the way things look when you change the easing. Come on, Gradle. Chop, chop. Chop, chop, chop. Okay, I'm gonna go take a... No. Come on! Some issues were found. Oh, no, you don't.
Huh?
It's just saying that that annotation was not used. Fine. But it doesn't make any difference. Work, please. I would very much like it if it did work, because you were working
Is
a
it-
second ago.
What are you using?
Fail to
electric
instantiate
eel?
from position local. Huh? Oh,
Nice. Illegal state exception would.
why is this doing this? Okay, I'm just gonna do
A build.
no, what was it that they were using by default? Default alpha and
Default.
scale. Yeah.
Sebastiano broke it.
Sebastiano broke it.
Yes, he broke it.
No.
He managed to
Just gonna do a
have the
spring.
compiler complaining about an else. It's not bad, Sebastiano.
I have to say I did not expect the else to be a problem.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Okay. So now
Let's see if it's because it was still not very convinced about life and the universe and everything. Why is it paused? Unpause. Re-enable. Okay. Yes.
oh, here you go. Look
Okay,
at
so
that.
you can see the strike through progress going this way. But if I switch, it's going the other way around. So it's starting slowly, and then, sorry, starting linearly. This is excluded to included. So yeah, fast out, linear in. So it's going in linearly. So this is pretty much a straight line at the end here, and it's slowly going out. So what we can do is we can do a preview. Does it not loop? Oh yeah, it does. Okay. We can also, like, we cannot edit things here, unfortunately, but we can definitely edit things here. So we can make this even slower if we want. And this is excluded to included. Okay, so you can see that it's much slower now than it was before. And if you don't like that, you can say, I don't know, I maybe just want linear easing because I'm a terrible person. I don't know. So what you can do is now, if you expand this, you will see that it's a linear interpolation. It's very clearly a straight line. So yeah, this is the basic idea of how to use interpolators. You can use them in animate float in transitions, but then you have a transition thing, or you can use them in like animate DP as state or something like that, in which case you have an animation spec, which is just one of those, essentially. Instead of having to have a when that says from this state to that state for all the possible combinations, then yeah. But yeah, linear looks like shit, as I was saying. I don't know if you can appreciate it, but it looks like shit, very much. The other way around, though, it's nice because it's like whoop. Okay, so I think this is a good point to close the stream if there's no other questions. Rebecca, I am going to uninvite you now.
So while we start wrapping up, I want to so close the giveaway. We had one single person that joined, so they automatically won. But
But we
I
need to
also
test our
found-
bot. Come on.
Yeah, I also found a bug in the bot, so now I need to run it. Yeah, because you are gonna.
So you didn't
Yeah,
consider the
so-
case when there's only one person, or?
No. Actually, I consider I didn't consider. Yeah, you will see. It's 50% chances to have a laugh. So let's see. Pick a winner. Yep, we won.
Ooh, nice.
Well, wait.
So
Yeah,
are you
that's
trying
the
to
thing.
introduce Ivan breaks shit now, or?
No. Because let's try again. Ah, here you go. So this is
Yay!
better.
So
This is better. So as you can see, the bot is running on another Twitch account, and but I actually didn't consider that when I post, please type this word in. I'm actually also joining the giveaway by inviting you.
you should add a feature that you just tell the word to the bot writes it and then keeps posting it.
Yeah, I need to iterate on this.
Am
but
I doing
I'm
feature
very-
requests? Yes, I am.
Yes. Well, you can open an issue on the repo, but I'm very happy because this thing works, and it was a nice way. There is a library. We didn't build it from scratch, of course. So there is a library for Node.js because there is a library for everything for Node.js, and yeah, but I'm very happy with this. So
I heard there's
slowly
also
we are-
a lot of libraries to get your computer compromised.
Yeah,
NPM.
that's yeah. Well, I mean, this is running at the moment. Is running locally. It's gonna run. It's actually running also in the cloud, but I haven't deployed it yet. So yeah, it's somewhere on somebody else's machine, basically.
Somewhere over the
But
rainbow.
I'm very happy that this works. And thank you for the patience, Felipe. We are gonna just reach out and send you some stickers. Thank you for joining the giveaway and winning the giveaway.
Oh, poor Jose.
And so yeah, no, don't learn JavaScript. Learn TypeScript at least.
Yeah.
No, man.
Of the
JavaScript
two,
is
100%.
yeah. No,
It's better to learn TypeScript.
I don't know. I don't know how people do that because it makes me anxious. Like, oh yeah, just something dot something. Okay, but what I'm getting,
Is
you
something.
never.
Probably
Is it a
something.
string? Is it
You
a
run it and you
oh,
see what happens, right? It's like Groovy.
Yeah,
It's the
most of
same
the time
thing.
is undefined, and that's the annoying part because
Yeah.
then I don't whatever. I'm gonna just run. I like types, so the compiler is my friend, and I like types. So okay, but this is good, Sebastiano. Thank you for this amount of yes, compiler is my type. Amount of information that I knew very little about. Thank you,
I
everybody.
hope you have a better understanding, not just you, but everyone,
Yes, indeed.
about how this stuff
Also-
works and why you do it. But
yeah. It's nice that there is a lot of documentation about the mathematical part. It's nice that there is a lot of stuff that's already ready to use in Compose. So savages like myself.
let me stop you there. It's nice that there's mathematical documentation. It's nicer that you don't have to do it yourself.
Yes. It's like people that are unable to do this kind of stuff can do it in Compose.
To be fair, I think I've only implemented a custom interpolator, like a fully custom interpolator, maybe once or twice in my life. Most of the time you use the built-in ones, but it's important to understand how they work and what they do.
Yeah. This was nice. So thank you again. Thank you everybody in the chat for contributing. Mark as well. He also threatened us that when he comes back, this shit is going to be relevant. So yeah, I really look forward to that.
Wait, you mean next week?
Yeah, spoiler.
Yes.
What else, Sebastiano? So we gave away the London ticket. Yeah. Do we want to do the other thing? How do we do it?
What other thing? I don't know anything.
Maybe the
I'm
book.
jet
The
lagged.
book.
Yeah, the book. I thought you were. Yeah. I thought you were running that already. Sorry, my bad.
Okay, boom, ciao. Felipe, you also won a copy of Jorge's book, Jetpack Compose Internals.
You can give
So,
it to
boom.
someone who you think will need it if you already have it.
If you have it, yes.
If you don't know anyone that needs it because everyone has bought it already, just tell us. We're gonna give it away to someone else next time.
Yeah, if you already have the book, please just let us know, and we can send it to somebody that is not able to buy it. So that said, what are we doing? Next week's topic was inspired by someone comment on the Telegram channel.
Yes.
Oh yeah, let me iterate on that
Telegram.
Yeah, we also have a Telegram channel. We can chat together when we are offline. So if you have Telegram, join us.
It's also incidentally the best way to find out when there's free games that you can get.
Yeah, because we have a couple of people that are game hoarders on the channel.
I don't know who you're talking about.
No, I don't know. Maybe somebody in Romania. I don't know. So yeah, Telegram is there. Just check it out and join us even when we are not streaming. Yes. That's it.
Yeah. Just as a reminder to everyone, it's now my favorite time of the stream, which is the time to create a clickbaity thumbnail. So if you are on the Discord, look out as usual for the link. It's going to be there in a minute or two. And see you on our super secret meet call where we can do the secret stuff.
The secret stuff. So it's for subscribers. So if you want to join the call, think about becoming a subscriber. You can use. You have a couple of possibility. You can subscribe for free on with Prime, or you can become a subscriber on Coffee. Just give it a shot. There is a tier for everybody, and you are more than welcome to join the secret meet.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. See you folks on the other side for the thumbnail, and see you next time. See you next Wednesday with Mark. Bye.
Ciao.